Let's talk about getting sub-30 times with only 3 algorithms, also known as the CFBLL method. Hey folks, welcome to the Pug Solves Cubes channel. I'm Pugs, a very mid-speed cuber with an average solve time around 35 seconds. I don't compete, I don't turn that fast, I'm not trying to set any records or even get all that much faster. I just love solving the cube as quickly as I personally can. This is going to be something of a long video because I'm covering the entire CFBLL method from start to finish. There are 3 steps, and the last step has 4 parts, and 3 of those 4 parts have a few possible cases each to address. In subsequent videos, I'll take each step one at a time, so the videos will be shorter, but more detailed looks at each step. As I said, I average around 35 seconds with a current personal best of 23.14 seconds. And I only really know and use 3 algorithms. I use the sexy move and the left and right-handed inverted variations on it. I use the beginner edge swap algorithm. And I use the beginner corner cycle algorithm. That's it. Just those 3, or 4 if you consider the inverted sexy move to be a separate algorithm, or 5 if you consider the left and right-handed versions of the inverted sexy move to be separate algorithms. Regardless, the number of algorithms for this method is negligible compared to the 119 algorithms for CFOP. And even if you do intuitive F2L for CFOP, it's still 78 algorithms for OLL and PLL. I call this method CFBLL, cross, F2L, and beginner last layer. But this isn't a groundbreaking new method. It's actually something of an intermediate method for people who might be struggling with CFOP or simply don't want to memorize all those algorithms, but still want to get faster. My goal right now is to get sub 20 with this method. And this method is simply doing cross on bottom, intuitive F2L, and then beginner method last layer with a minor time saver in that last step. Keep in mind that this method is reliant on doing the cross on bottom and intuitive F2L. If you're not familiar with either of these, I recommend learning those methods first and then coming back to this video. I'll go over and explain them in this video, but there are far better videos by far better cubers that cover both topics in greater depth. Also keep in mind that I'm left-handed, and I actually do left-handed versions of the algorithms that I mentioned. But because most of you are right-handed, I'll try to do the demos right-handed, but I will put the left-handed algorithms on the screen and mention how to do the setup for the left-handed algorithms. So let's do a quick hand scramble to start. Okay, the first step is cross on the bottom. In the beginner method, they teach you to do white cross on top, which means you have the white centerpiece facing upwards, it's on top. And then you go ahead and you place all of the color pieces, all the white edge pieces, in a cross formation aligned with their color. So for instance, we have our blue-white piece here, so we can turn that there and up. And then because blue is over here, we can turn the cube so blue is the blue edge piece and centerpiece are aligned. We know that if we turn this side so the orange piece is up, it'll be in the wrong place. So instead, since we know that blue is going to be next to orange here, we can turn the blue here. We can turn the top layer and then turn the orange edge piece to the top and then put it back, and we have two edge center alignments in terms of color. The green we know has to be on the, it's where it should be, but it's upside down. So what we can do is, well, let's first put the red, since that was already set for us, right? That was already lined up, so we can just flip that to the top. So what we can do is we can move the edge piece out of the way, turn the cube, bring the edge piece back up, and then turn back, and now we have our white cross with all of the center and edge pieces aligned according to color. So the beginner method, the other way that the beginner method teaches is to do a daisy on top. You align the edge and center pieces in the same way, and then you turn each side so that the white edge pieces are facing down and you get your white cross. So just like CFOP, this CFBLL method that we're talking about in this video teaches to do the white cross on bottom. And in addition to teaching white cross on bottom, we can speed things up a little bit by not bothering with making sure that the edge color pieces, the edge and center pieces are aligned by color at first. We worry about that later, or when it's most expedient. So for instance, this blue-green mismatch here doesn't matter. What matters is the Gabor order. Green, and we're looking at the center pieces here. So green, orange, blue, red. Gabor order is what we're doing. So if I put the blue edge piece here, so to keep the Gabor order, I need to have this green edge piece over here. So I would do this. And so now I have the green and the blue edge pieces in correct Gabor order. This orange and red mismatch here, we put that down, and now we have green, orange, blue. So we're following Gabor order. We're putting things in Gabor order. Now we have a a red and orange mismatch here. But if I put that on the bottom so that we have a white cross, you can see that we have the white cross on the bottom, but it's in the wrong. The colors aren't aligned, but they are in correct Gabor order. Green, orange, blue, red. Because they're in correct Gabor order, I can do a D2 move and move that down layer. So now everything is aligned with the correct color, center, and edge pieces. You can see that everything was aligned by doing the D2 move at the end. That turns out to be, to shave seconds off of your time if you can focus on forming the white cross in the correct Gabor order and then using D moves, whether they're D1, D2, D prime, D prime 2, whatever the moves are, to form your white cross on the bottom. The second step is intuitive F2L. In the beginner method, we're taught that now that we have a white cross and we've moved the white cross to the bottom, we've turned the cube over, we then look for the white corner pieces and put those in place one at a time using a sexy move. So for instance, we have this this green and orange corner piece right here. It needs to go here in between this green and orange edge piece on the bottom layer. So we would turn the top layer, to put it over the spot it needs to be, and then we would do sexy moves until it is moved into place. So with 5 sexy moves, we're able to put it into place. Here we have the green and red corner piece. So we would put that over the green and red edge pieces here where it needs to go. We would turn the cube, and then we would do a sexy move to put that into place. And we would do that one at a time for each one of the remaining corners and put all the corners in place. And then once all the corners are in place, we would then go after the edge pieces. So for instance, for the middle layer. So for instance, this green and orange edge piece needs to go here. Needs to go right here. So we would put that into place that way. So now that we have the bottom layer and that middle layer at the same time. And you can see how time consuming that is, how many moves that takes to do. Okay, we're back to the white cross. So in intuitive F2L, in the CFBLL method, we use intuitive F2L to do both the bottom layer and the middle layer at the same time to save on all those extra moves and therefore all that extra time. So for instance, we have a green and red edge piece and a green and red corner piece. They're paired up, but if we were to try to insert those, you can see that this edge piece would be wrong, it'd be flipped. So since they're paired up incorrectly, we need to break the pair. And then, once the pair is broken, I can pair them back up and then insert them in the correct slot like that. Here we have this green and orange corner piece and the green and orange edge pieces over there. In order to pair them up, I can turn the cube to get the blue and orange edge piece into the top layer, turn that top layer back, put the bottom layer, put this right layer into place, and then with them like that, set up like this, you can see that if I'm looking at the blue face, I can see the blue face front, top. So I can move that to the back, and then I can do a back insert to drop it into place. I highly recommend you learn how to insert F2L pairs in the back slots so that you don't have to turn your cube and lose time to rotating the cube. So instead of rotating the cube, we just do an insert in the back corner here. We have this green and orange pair paired up, but they are paired up incorrectly as well. You can see that if we try to insert them into the green and orange slot, it's not inserted properly. The corner, this corner piece is turned wrong. So we need to break that pair up. And now we can pair them back up correctly and then insert it into this front slot. We have this red and blue corner piece and this red and blue edge here. So we can take the corner, hide it, and move the edge piece to the top layer, turn the top layer, and then turn the left side to back. And now we can pair those two up and do another back insert. And now we have solved the first two layers. We have solved the bottom layer and the middle layer at the same time, rather than doing all of the 4 bottom corner pieces first and all 4 middle layer edge pieces next. The third step is beginner last layer. We only have at this point this top layer, this last layer left to solve. And we're going to use the beginner method to solve it. So this step is broken into 4 possible parts. 3A is to make a yellow cross. The goal is to have a yellow cross on top. Once we have that yellow cross on top, 3B is to do an edge swap. And the edge swap just trades the edges around so that the edge piece and the center pieces are the same color. So we're basically putting all the edges in the correct place. After we do the edge swap, we have a yellow cross. All the edges are in the correct place. We do a corner cycle. 3C is the corner cycle, where we move the corner pieces around the cube and until they're in the correct place. Now, once they're in the correct place, some of them may be yellow tile facing up. Some of them might be not have the yellow tile facing up. So that is why we do part 3D, which is the corner turn, which turns any corner piece that is not yellow side up. It turns them so that they are yellow side up, which, thereby will solve the cube. It is possible that any single one of these parts might be skipped. Like, for instance, if you just finished F2L, you might come out of F2L and already have a yellow cross. You did the intuitive F2L part, and your last layer, your top layer, automatically is a yellow cross. If this is the case, and if you got that lucky and this is the case, then you just skip straight to 3B. If, however, this is not the case, you will have one of 3 scenarios. So the first of which is the bar. If your case is a bar, and it could be vertical or it could be horizontal. If it is if you have a bar, what we're going to do is we're going to orient the top layer so that it is a horizontal bar. And then we're going to do a setup move and then a sexy move, and then we're going to undo the setup move. The setup move is an F if you're right-handed. This is for right. I'm going to go through right-handed, then I'm going to go through left-handed. So you do an F and then a sexy move. So R, U, R prime, U prime, and then you undo the setup move with an F prime, and you can see we have a yellow cross. So if you're left-handed and you have a bar, you're going to still make sure the bar is horizontal. So if it's vertical, you're going to use a U move, or U prime in this case, or you can just use a regular U. It doesn't matter which direction you go, just as long as you have a horizontal bar. Your setup move is going to be an F prime instead of the F, right? If you're left-handed, you're doing an F prime and then a left-handed sexy move. So L prime, U prime, L, U, undo the setup move with an F, and now we have our yellow cross. Again, ignoring any tiles that are not part of the shape that we want. We want the yellow cross. So the bar is the first case that you might be in. The second case that you could possibly be in coming out of F2L is an L. This L could be oriented in any direction, right? For a right-handed person, we want the L to be oriented away and to the left. So a backwards L in this case. And then we're going to do a setup move and then 2 sexy moves and then undo the setup move. And that'll give us our yellow cross. So we do our setup move, we do the F, and then the sexy move. So R, U, R prime, U prime. And you can see that gives us a bar. And what did we just do from the bar? One sexy move will get us to the yellow cross. So R, U, R prime, U prime, and undo the setup move, and we have a yellow cross. In this case, we have the entire top layer being yellow, but it is not solved. You can see that it is not solved. So we're ignoring tiles that are not part of the shape. So it doesn't matter that it's all yellow. The important thing is that we have a yellow cross, right? So for a left-handed person, if you have an L, you're going to want to orient the instead of orienting the L so that it's facing away and to the left, we're going to orient it away and to the right. And then we're going to do an F prime setup move, and then we're going to do the left-handed sexy move 2 times. So L prime, U prime, L, U. Now we have a bar. L prime, U prime, L, U, and we're back to a yellow cross. Again, ignore the tiles that are not part of the shape. So, the third case that you might be faced with is just a yellow dot. So we have the bar, we have the L, and now we're looking at a single dot. And again, we're ignoring all of the tiles that are not part of the shape, right? Just looking for the dot. It doesn't matter that this is also yellow. If it's not an L, a cross, or a bar, this is considered a dot. So for right-handed people, what we're going to do is we're going to do the setup move, F, and then we're going to do a sexy move, so R, U, R prime, U prime, and undo the setup move, and you can see that that brings us to an L. And so once we have the L, we can orient it so that it's facing away and to the left, and then solve the L, or get to the yellow cross from the L the same way that we just did, right? So it can be F, and then 2 sexy moves. R, U, R prime, U prime. R, U, R prime, U prime. And now we have a yellow cross. If you are left-handed and you have a dot, the setup move is going to be, instead of being an F, your setup move is going to be an F prime, and you're going to do the left-handed sexy move to get to an L shape. So that's going to be L prime, U prime, L, U, undo the setup move, and you can see that that gives us the L that we wanted. And then from here, being a left-handed person, we're going to have it facing away and to the right. And from here, we're going to do our setup move, so F prime, and then 2 sexy moves. So L prime, U prime, L, U, L prime, U prime, L, U, undo the setup move, F prime, and we're at the yellow cross. There is another way to walk through, or to get here, to get to the yellow cross from a dot. It's essentially the same thing, just, well, I'll demonstrate the difference. Instead of going to the L, we're going to go straight to a bar. So we do our setup move, we do our 2 sexy moves, we undo the setup move, and we're now at a bar, right? So we can just orient the bar horizontal and then do one sexy, we'll do the setup move, 1 sexy move, undo the setup move, and we're back at a yellow cross. I think it's the same number of moves. If you go from a dot to an L, or if what did I do here? Or if you go from a dot to a bar, I think it's the same number of moves. So it's just whatever you're more comfortable with. You can go from a dot to an L or a dot to a bar and then go to a yellow cross from the L or go to the yellow cross from the bar. Personally, if I get a dot, I go to the bar first and then I go to the yellow cross. It's just what I've been in the habit of doing. Okay, now that we have a yellow cross on top, the next part 3B, is the edge swap. And the goal here is to swap the 4 edges around so that they're in Gobber order: green, orange, blue, red, right? We want them in Gobber order. So at this point, after you finish the making the yellow cross, the cube can sometimes, if you're extremely lucky, the cube will be solved, in which case, congratulations, you can skip this step. Or if you're lucky, but not quite as lucky, you might find that all 4 edges are already in Gobber order. In this case, I set up the cube so that it is not in Gobber order. So we have green, red, blue, orange, not in Gobber order. Green, red, blue, orange. So when you have a cube that is not in Gobber order at all, sometimes you might already have two that are adjacent to each other that are in Gobber order. Like you might have green, and let's say this was orange. You might have green and orange next to each other. You might have orange and blue next to each other. You might have blue and red next to each other in order. You might have red and green next to each other in order. In this case, none of the adjacent ones, the ones that are next to each other, the edge pieces that are next to each other, are in Gobber order at all. So when you have this case, you just go ahead and you do the edge swap algorithm one time, and that will give you the 2 adjacent pieces that are in Gobber order. So let's go ahead and show you the right-handed version of this. So the right-handed version of the edge swap algorithm is R, U, R prime, U, R, U prime, U prime, R, U. So you can see now we don't, green and blue, that's not working. Blue and red though is. That's the blue and red are adjacent to each other and they're in Gobber order. Green and orange, however, they need to be flipped. In order to flip those, we turn the top layer of the cube so that the 2 that are in Gobber order, so blue, red, are in Gobber order, and they are facing away from us and facing to the right. So we turn the top layer so that the 2 that are adjacent and in Gobber order are going to be facing away and to the right, and then we do the edge swap algorithm again. So R, U, R prime, U, R, U prime, U prime, R prime, U. And now you can see that we are in Gobber order. Green, orange, blue, red. They are in Gobber order now. Green, orange, blue, red. So let's go ahead and set this up for. So now, once again, we have nothing in Gobber order, and we're going to show you the left-handed way of doing that same edge swap algorithm. So the left-handed way of doing it, so we're starting out with green, red, blue, orange. So no adjacent edge pieces are in Gobber order. To get 2 of them in Gobber order, we're going to do the edge swap algorithm one time, and that goes L prime, U prime, L, U prime, L prime, U, U, L, and then U prime. So now you can see that we have, let's see, green, red, no, red, orange, no, orange, blue, yes. That's in Gabor order, OB, orange, blue. So now we need to flip these green and red so that it'll go green, orange, blue, red. So we need to flip those over. So this time to do the setup, now that we have two adjacent, and anytime you have two adjacent edge pieces that are in Gabor order, you go ahead and orient for the left-handed algorithm. You turn the top layer so that's oriented so that the two that are adjacent to each other, in this case orange and blue, are facing away and facing to the left. Facing away and to the left. And then we go ahead and we do that edge swap algorithm again. So that's L prime, U prime, L, U prime, L prime, U, L, U. U prime, sorry. So now you can see that we are in Gabor order here. Green, orange, blue, red. So when, for step 3B, if you pick up the cube and none of them are in Gabor order, just go ahead and do the edge swap and then orient the pieces correctly depending on if you're right or left-handed, and then do the edge swap algorithm again. If you finish making the yellow cross and two adjacent pieces are in Gabor order, two adjacent edge pieces are in Gabor order, go ahead and orient them and do the edge swap algorithm just one time, and congratulations, you're done. Now we have all of the edge pieces in the correct place. You don't have to, for the next step, you don't have to orient it with the correct center tiles yet. I actually recommend that you don't, in order to save a little bit of time. That's just an extra move that you don't need to make. Now that the edges are in correct Gabor order, green, orange, blue, red, they're in the correct Gabor order, we move on to part 3C, the corner cycle. The goal of the corner cycle is to move the corners around so that they are all correctly placed. For instance, we have a blue edge here and an orange edge here, so that means that this one should be the blue-orange corner piece, which is actually over here right now, but it should be here. So the goal is to have all of the corners correctly placed. It doesn't matter if the yellow side is facing up yet or not. The goal is just to get the corners correctly placed. There are 4 possible cases for when you begin this part. The first case is that the cube is solved. Congratulations, you're done. The second possible case is that all the corners are correctly placed, but they're not all, they don't have the yellow side facing up yet. Not all of them do. Some of them might, some of them might not. In that case, you can skip directly to part 3D. You can skip over this part. The third case is that you have one corner that is correctly placed. And then that's what we have right now. We have this corner, this green and red corner correctly placed. Or you can have no corners correctly placed. And that's actually the situation that we want to start from. So let's go ahead and set up the cube so that none of the corners are correctly placed, which is what we have now. Okay, so with none of the corners correctly placed, we can do the corner cycle algorithm one time, and that will give us one corner correctly placed. So we're going to do it right-handed first. So that's going to be R, U prime, L prime, U, R prime, U prime, L, U. And you can see that we now have the green-orange corner correctly placed. So we have one and the other corners are still incorrectly placed. So what you're going to do from here is you are going to turn the top layer so that the correctly placed corner is in the front left. If it's in the front left of the layer, and then we're going to do that same algorithm, that same corner cycle algorithm once again. We're going to go R, U prime, L prime, U, R prime, U prime, L, U. And now you can see that all of the corners are correctly placed. Sometimes you have to do it twice, do that algorithm twice to get all the corners correctly placed. It just happened to work out here that they ended up all correctly placed doing it once. So let's go ahead and set the cube up for okay, so now the cube is set up again so that we're still in Gabor order. Green, orange, blue, red. We still have the yellow cross in Gabor order. But none of the corner pieces are correctly placed. So to do this left-handed, it's going to be a very similar thing, just a slightly different setup once we have one corner. So no correctly placed corners, so we go ahead and we do the corner cycle algorithm one time, and so that is L prime, U, R, U prime, L, U, R prime, U prime. And now you can see that we have that green and orange corner correctly placed. This time, we're going to rotate the top layer. We're going to turn the top layer not so that it's in the front left. We're going to turn it so that it's in the front right. And then we'll do that left-handed corner cycle algorithm once again. So L prime, U, R, U prime, L, U, R prime, U prime. And now we still only have one corner in its correct place. So we do that corner cycle algorithm one more time. So that's L prime, U, R, U prime, L, U, R prime, U prime. And now we have all of the corners correctly placed. Not all of them are facing up at this point. And so then we can move on to the next part. And now we have the last part, part 3D, the corner turn. The goal of the corner turn is to turn any corners that are not facing yellow side up, turn them so that they are facing yellow side up, and thereby solving the cube. You can see that all of the pieces in the top layer are in their correct spots. It's just that these two need to be turned yellow side up. Now, in the basic beginner last layer method, they tell you to turn the cube all the way over so that that white side is up, and then do sexy moves to turn these last two corners the correct direction. CFBLL leaves the yellow side facing up. It saves a little bit of time by not having to adjust your grip and turn and rotate the cube, right? It leaves the yellow side facing up, and instead of using sexy moves to turn the corners, it uses inverted sexy moves to turn the corners. And that looks like this. Okay, so let me put the cube back in that same configuration. All right. So the way that works, to break it down, is we use a U move to set up if we're going to go right-handed. And if you can use either a right-handed inverted sexy move or a left-handed inverted sexy move. Whichever one you choose, you have to stick with for the rest of the solve. So you might have two corners that need to be flipped. You might have 3 corners that need to be flipped, or you might have all 4 corners that need to be flipped. If you start with the left-handed inverted sexy move, you must use the left-handed inverted sexy move to turn all of the corners. Okay, so our setup is to put, for right-handed inverted sexy moves, is to put the first corner that you want to address in the front right corner of the top layer. And then you're going to do an inverted right-handed sexy move, which goes R prime, D prime, and I'm using my ring fingers to turn that down layer, that bottom layer, D prime, R, D. And then we do it again. So we go R prime, D prime, R, D. And now you see that this corner has been turned yellow side up. It has messed up the bottom layer and the middle layer, but we don't worry about that because that's going to be fixed when we address the next corner. So the next corner, is currently back here. So we're going to use a U move to bring it to the same front right position of the top layer. We do not turn the cube. You do not turn the cube. You only turn the top layer. So you turn the top layer so that the corner is positioned properly in the front right of the top layer. And since the yellow face is facing towards us, it is going to take 4 inverted sexy moves to turn it over. So we're going to go R prime, D prime, R, D, R prime, D prime, R, D, R prime, D prime, R, D, and R prime, D prime, R, D. You can see that the bottom layer and the middle layer have been solved, and to properly orient the top layer, we just use a U move to turn it, and we have a solved cube. Okay, so let's show you the left-handed version of that, in case you're left-handed like me. So, and let's actually turn it so that, same thing, exact same setup. All of the top layer pieces are in the correct places, just these 2 need to be turned. So our setup is going to be U moves to put the first corner that we want to address in the front left corner of the top layer. The yellow face is facing away from us, it's facing to the left. So we are going to need 2 inverted sexy moves to turn that corner. And so that goes L, D, L prime, D prime, L, D, L prime, D prime. And you can see that that corner has been turned. Once again, we have messed up the bottom and the middle layers, and we're going to fix that when we turn this corner. So we're going to do a U prime to bring that corner to the proper position in the front left of the top layer. And then we're going to do 4 inverted sexy moves because the yellow face is facing towards us. So we're going to go L, D, L prime, D prime, L, D, L prime, D prime, L, D, L prime, D prime, and last time L, D, L prime, D prime. And you can see the bottom layer and the middle layer have been fixed. And to finish solving the cube, we just need a U move to turn the top layer into its correct position. And there we go. We have a solved cube. Hey folks, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, click the subscribe button, and ring the notification bell for more content like this. Until the next video, happy cubing y'all.